Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me at benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcast because People of Distinction is a nationally and internationally syndicated show because of listeners like you. Our shows are available across all major podcast distributors as well as YouTube. And if you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. We appreciate the support. Continue to like and follow and sit back and strap in because on the line with us today, we have the impressive April Moales. And we're going to be discussing her amazing book, Observe the Mask, an invitation to unveil the real you. People, I'm telling you, once we begin discussing this book, you're going to understand some things, and maybe some things you've already thought about, but it's definitely going to re-impress and put some things in perspective. Now, you're going to want to head on over to Amazon to pick up copies of this amazing book, but while you're at it, check out her personal website, and that's aprilmoales.com. There, you're going to be greeted with a whole host of fantastic pieces of information. First and foremost, you're going to learn more about April herself. You're going to learn more about this book, but you're also going to gather information on a couple of other things. Now, listen, April has been putting in some work. There's another book she's written called Weight Loss Equals Weight Loss. Now, it may sound a little weird to you. You're like, wait, Benji, you said the same thing. How does that make any sense? Well, there's a play on words here, okay? Now, the first one, weight loss, is like you're waiting for something. W-A-I-T, weight loss, equals that weight loss in the traditional sense, W-E-I-G-H-T. I'm telling you, I love the play on words. I love what the book represents because it aligns perfectly with her brand. This is something that is truly remarkable for so many reasons. But let's say, maybe you're like me in reading. Sometimes I like doing it, but other times, Benji, I just need something to listen to. Don't worry about it. April's got you as well because she has a whole list of audible affirmations, and those are entitled, Who Are You? You're going to want to check them out as well. I'm telling you, the list goes on, and hopefully so much more on the horizon. Once again, that's aprilmoales.com. Head on over there and get lost in everything that she has in store. And before we go any further, I want to take this opportunity and quickly point out the fact that April was brought to our network by one of the best publishing firms in the business, people you already know, talking about Quipper Prints. So if you're a writer out there and you've gone through your process creating your masterpiece and now you need help moving the book you just developed, well, if that's you, contact Quipper, people, because this is exactly what they specialize in. You're going to need to head on over to quipperprints.com today and gather all the ways that their fantastic team is going to help you do just that. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have April here on the line. Like I mentioned to you before, her book, Observe the Mask, is something that you're going to need to add to your shelf. We're going to scratch the surface here today, people, because this conversation is layered. It's nuanced. It's going to take a lot more to go through that process. But I promise by the time we've concluded, you're going to run and purchase your copies so you can do just that. Because you're going to realize, I've been living outside myself for too long. Let's bring it back. I'm loving this. I'm loving what it represents. And I'm loving what it's going to do for all of us. Now sit back and strap in. April, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Benji, for having me. And I just want to thank Al Cole Enterprise and People of Distinction for having me.
Absolutely. Well, listen, it is a true pleasure here, April. We're thoroughly looking forward to this. I think the information that you've comprised is something immensely beneficial. And I know my listening audience is going to be able to take advantage of all of it. We have a lot of information on the docket here to discuss today. So let's jump right in. First and foremost, let's start at that foundation. Can you give us a brief overview of your book, Observe the Mask, an invitation to unveil the real you? And then what inspired you to write it?
Wow. Well, again, I'm so happy and I'm so honored to be here and to share my body of work with you. A brief overview of the book. Observe the Mask, an invitation to unveil the real you. I think this is like an insightful exploration, inviting my readers on a journey to observe the personas or the mask we wear on a in our daily lives. It explores how these masks get created, shaped, and defined by our thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and how these thoughts, feelings, and behaviors influence our relationship with ourselves and others. By observing and understanding these layers, readers are encouraged to embark on the path of self-discovery and authenticity. Observe the Mask combines, I would say, like in the book, it has a lot of personal anecdotes. It comes from a psychological and metaphysical, ontological insights. It provides you with practical exercises. I like to term them exercises, guiding each of you to move beyond the societal definitions, expectations, or these unconscious self-imposed limitations. Ultimately, like the title suggests, unveiling the real you. Now, the thing about this I'd like to share here, Benji, is the book takes a microscopic view into observing the persona or the mask that individuals wear, exploring the concept of ego on a personal level. However, when I think about the mask in a broader context, it intrigues me to consider how the unconscious collective persona shapes our society and even our nation. We've seen this play out recently in the context of the election, highlighting the ways in which an unconscious collective identity and unconscious biases can influence group behavior and decisions. Mm-hmm. So I'd like to just veer off before I answer the second part of that question and just share that, in this time, there's a stillness of air in the air. I'm sure your audience would agree. This is a time like never before for unity, resilience, passion, power, and purpose. This is a time for humanity to embrace self-awareness. This is a time, I'm going to reiterate, this is a time for humanity to embrace self-awareness. This is a time like never before to redirect your attention from the outside world to the inside world, individually and collectively. There is an agenda on the planet, and those that are not self-aware, and by that I mean conscious, awake, in the urban vernacular, woke, I assert are individuals' collective programs running in a conservative operating system. This operating system to dehumanize the species, depopulation through lower vibrational frequencies of fear and hatred and division to lead the country in the next 4 years. All, by the way, are illusions and unseen forms of dis-ease. The landslide graphically depicted on the broad red stroke across the country, the narrative the people have spoken. One must ask yourself, does an unconscious program make a choice? Do artificial programs choose? Or rather, go with a set of unconscious programs running the operating system? These unconscious programs bought into the theatrics of the puppet, the trumpet, sounds, and rhetoric. So I assert this message and interview with you today, Benji, is not a coincidence, more like a coincidence. It's divinely orchestrated. Our listening audience's engagement is critical. It's essential now more than ever. It's not just about hearing words, but truly listen to the message. Those listening, message, you must insist to know who you are. Not what the past, the culture, the climate, the country, the nation, the media, education say you are. We are exhausted at this point, disappointed, anxious about the next days, or collectively the next 4 years. So I want to answer like this, how this relates, because the book focuses on the individual persona. And now, as I am speaking about the book, I want to also integrate the collective persona that we're all involved in.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer the second part of the book, what inspired me to write this book, it's in two parts. One, actually the first edition of the book was written about 20 years ago. And at that time, I was a part of the INT community, the International New Thought Alliance. This is where I began having my speaking career, hosting self-empowerment workshops, facilitating, presenting. And during that time, my audience wanted more. They wanted more than just thought-provoking ideas. They wanted something to take home with them. And this is where the book idea was born. And as the candidate of a PhD program back then at the University of Metaphysics, I was encouraged to write this book. And now we have the second edition published in the fourth quarter, I think, in 2023. Now, that's the factual part of why I was inspired to write the book. But then there's that emotional and physical part that had me write this book. And as human beings, we all share that pivotal moment in our lives, generally between birth and 10 years old, where something happens that leaves an indelible mark, a defining moment that shapes who we perceive ourselves as and the world around us. For many, that might be a positive memory that shapes who we have become. But for me, that defining moment came in the form of something deeply hurtful. When I was about 4 to 5 years old, a family member was sexually inappropriate with me. And that experience cast a shadow of how I saw myself and my place in the world. It's a moment that shaped not only my sense of self, but also the mask that I would learn to create and wear to protect that wounded little girl, that aspect, that part of me. But through my journey of writing Observe the Mask, I've come to understand in this moment, any life experience doesn't have to define or confine us. Rather, becoming the observer of the mask brings you to a state of being, of awareness of who you really are. So I hope that answers your question.
Well, April, it does a lot more than answer the question. Thank you very much for that, because that gives us a huge amount to chew on. And you covered a lot of topics there, and we are right behind you in every single one of them. You know, the next topic point that I want to touch up on is something I find very, very interesting. You brought up, exploring the structural dimensions of the mask. Well, why is it, in your opinion, essential to become the observer of the mask?
Yeah, very good question. So becoming the observer. So when you think about your self-identity, it's a set of thoughts and patterns of thinking. It's a set of emotional responses to the outside world. And those patterns of ways of being, I assert in the book that they are programs. And as you know, like you think about the Windows program or the Microsoft Word program, it's set to do a certain function. But what if you're greater than the program and you don't realize that the program is actually running the operating system? So the purpose for exploring the structural dimensions of the mask, it takes a deep dive into your mental and your emotional body, your thoughts and feelings and your patterns of thinking. And it brings, when you become the observer of your own program, you become aware of these thoughts and you're no longer confined by them.
People, I'm telling you, you got to head on over to Amazon to pick up your copies. The book is called Observe the Mask, an invitation to unveil the real you. And that's exactly what you're going to want to do once you pick this book up. It is a guide that's going to help you do just that. You got to thank April Moales for all of it. While you're at it, check out her personal site, aprilmoales.com, because there is a lot more in store. Her other book, Weight Loss Equals Weight Loss, as well as the audible affirmations entitled, Who Are You? Head on over there, pick up your copies. My next topic point that I want to touch up on here, April, your book cover, I think, is something that is very appealing. And of course, you know, getting back to some of those digital aspects that I was talking about at the beginning of the interview, we now see this surge and the rise in AI and these upcoming bots that are going to now be laid out in the world. And there's, of course, a particular connection that I see with that. And I'm sure it's separate, but I want to talk to you about that creation. Who came up with the design for the cover?
Oh my God, it's amazing. I came up with the design of the cover. I actually graphically drew the thing out, and why I wanted to create the cover. I think the first edition of the book had my frame, my picture on the cover, and that was purposely done because I wanted people to know who they saw me as was the mask. That is not who I am. I'm the source behind the mask. But the reason why I created this cover is because in addition to my background in metaphysics, I also hold a degree in computer science and information systems. And the principles in the book are philosophical, they're psychological, metaphysical, and ontological. And there's some Eastern philosophy, sprinkled in there. And they intersect with the rise of AI, like you mentioned, artificial intelligence, and the relationship between the two. And what I say and why I wanted this on the cover is if you don't become the observer of the created self, the ego, I assert you are an unconscious program, an unconscious human being, much like artificial intelligence, a set of programs void of self-awareness. So as the author, the creator of the content, and the creator, the artist of the cover, I wanted to graphically display this thought and this premise, that if you don't become, and that is my face on the one side, and the hoop, and the other side is if you don't become the observer of your own creation, I again assert that you are an artificial intelligence, a set of programs void of self-awareness.
What a statement. Yo, April, my curiosity here with this next one is getting the best of me, but I want to know, what was the most challenging part of writing this story, and what are you most proud of?
Oh my gosh. Ooh, that's a loaded question. Oh my gosh. Yes. Benji, I would have to say the most challenging part of writing Observe the Mask, oh my gosh. The second edition, An Invitation to Unveil the Real You, was likely like diving deep into the complexities of the human identity and our vulnerability. And writing about the mask and exploring how people unconsciously adopt these roles can be emotionally taxing. So that's the challenging part. And it required me as the author to confront my own layers and experiences while aiming to resonate with readers who may be doing the same. And this process brought up a lot of moments for me in observing, again, my personal and my emotional edges around self-doubt and perhaps, discomfort. And balancing, my personal insights with a universal appeal. That was the challenge.
Well, listen, we talked about one challenge. Let's talk about another now. From a reader's perspective, what challenges might they face in recognizing their own false identities, and how can they overcome them?
Well, I would say it all begins with starting the process of getting the book,
Mm-hmm.
Because one would say, oh, yeah, I mean, I'm fine. But when you don't begin to take an inner look, an inner view of who you are, then that's the first challenges that readers have is, oh my gosh, like you thought you know who you were, but then you get that your past created the thought. You think the thoughts that you're thinking, the feelings that you're feeling, that you've created them, but they were unconsciously created again at that window. When I said like anywhere between birth and 10 years old. And so any other challenges will have to come from when you personally apply what's in the book in your lives. And I definitely want to hear about that. And how they overcome them, I give a layout guide of how to transform your relationship to your ego, your relationship to your self-identity in terms of you don't get rid of the identity, but when you become the observer of your own creation, you are now no longer a victim of what you see, but you are the creator of it.
April, I want to focus now on the future. All right. Because listen, this book is impactful and I could sit here, I could talk to you for hours just on this because there's so much to discuss. Well, we know about this one. We know that you've written another one called Weight Loss Equals Weight Loss. You have your audible affirmations. Who are you? Well, talk to us about next. What's upcoming? Are you going to write more books? Are you planning on it?
Ooh, man. Well, I live from the inside out. And all of my body of works, I get an internal knock that says, hey, you need to do this. And so right now I am working on a couple of other bodies of work, but they're not necessarily a book, but they are an artistic expression. And again, everything will be inside of bringing consciousness to the unconscious self, bringing awareness to the unconscious self in the areas of health, wealth, love, and self-awareness.
You know, April, during your personal journey, in not only creating the book for the public, but also understanding it for yourself, were there any experiences or revelations that led you to this understanding of authentic identity?
Yeah, there's a play on words there, authentic identity. Let's see. Let me approach it from this aspect, and I hope I answer your question. When I embraced who I am, my initials are not a coincidence, nor do I believe in coincidences. I do believe in mathematical coincidences where two cooperative components come together, but I am. When I embrace the I am, being in this state of awareness, this state of being, source of my world, being responsible for who I am as the creator of my own creation, I understand I have the keys to the kingdom, or shall I say, I have the keys to the queendom, keys to the palace of life. This is available to all that purchase the book. This is my commitment. You purchase the book, but it's not enough to have the intellectual knowledge. You have to read it and apply these principles to your life. And when you begin to see who you are and not be confined by what the past conditioned you to be, or society, or your religion, or your education, or the media, then you have the freedom to be who you are. I am responsible for my own created world.
You know, April, listen, I think I can assume the answer to this next question, but I'm not going to do that to you. I got you here on the line. Why assume? We can go directly to the source, right? Well, I'm curious to know what you are hoping this book, the impact that this book will have on your readers. And not only the impact, but what is the most important takeaway that you want them to gain after they complete reading it?
Wow. Oh my gosh. I think this is the first interview that I've had this type of question. So, Benji, I thank you. And I am so enjoying our time together. And the listening audience, I hope that you're getting something from this and like taking the action and getting the book. Because the body of work, what you pay for the book, it's priceless. Mm-hmm. But with Observe the Mask, an invitation to unveil the real you, my intention is to inspire the reader to question and observe the identities they've created and the roles they play in their lives. Basically guiding them to a place of an expanded self-awareness and authenticity. By becoming observer of the mask, readers are encouraged to observe, examine the personas they present to the world. And you see these personas aligned with their true selves, and how when you become the observer, you see how, societal expectations, past traumas, insecurities, culture, religion, as I mentioned, media, has shaped who you think you are. So I guess the most important takeaway is likely a call to health, wealth, love, and self-awareness through the lens of the observer. The courage to understand that you are the creator of your own creation. The mask, and embrace the truth and live it. The aim is for the readers to walk away with a stronger sense of who you are. And this liberating journey allows the spirit to consciously create a life of living with passion, purpose, and power. Wow, I'm shocked of what came out of me. That's it.
Yeah. Listen, there is so much power in your words, but there is even more power on those pages. Listen, as we close out of here, we talked about what the readers are going to take. Well, let's now hone it back into our listening audience here today. Final question for you, April. Is there anything else you would like to let our listening audience know before we let you go?
Yeah, Benji, as we wrap up, I guess I want to just ask the listening audience to ask yourself, who am I really? I want to invite you each to continue on this journey of self-discovery and self-empowerment by purchasing my book, Observe the Mask, an invitation to unveil the real you. If today's conversation resonated with you, consider, going out there and just getting your copy. And I make sure that anybody in the world has it at their doorstep within 2 days. And you can take your own personal deep dive into the ideas that we just discussed today, helping you become the observer of your own creation and peel back those layers of your mask that you wear. And also, don't miss out on joining the Source Talk Live community on our Patreon, a space where we come together to share, learn, and support one another on our journey. And you get a chance to speak directly to me. And it's a community designed to explore, empower, and inspire and uplift each other. That space of like-minded people. And then look out for the webinar that's coming up in January of 2025, The Power of Awareness. It's going to be exclusively for the members. All links will be provided below. And of course, connect with me on social media for daily insights, inspiration, and updates. I'd love to stay connected with each of you and be a part of your personal growth journey. And thank you for listening. And remember, you have the power to consciously create your life of purpose, being true to who you are. I am health, wealth, love, and self-awareness.
People, you know what? I generally like to close out of my shows offering a reflection, offering a little spiel. It doesn't even feel right to do that in this instance. Honestly, the words that she just spoke were so powerful. You are all hooked. I know you are. I don't even have to hear it from you. I know you are because I am. All right. And no pun intended with the I am, but I'm hooked. All right, people. And I know you are as well. So again, it's Amazon, man. You got to pick up copies. The book is called Observe the Mask, an invitation to unveil the real you. And I promise you, once you start to embark upon this journey, you're going to do just that. All right. That mask is now going to be recognized. And like she said, it's not about getting rid of that identity. It's about acknowledging it and not being, I guess, a quote unquote slave to it, because you all understand, man, whether it's a place of work, whether it's those in-laws, whatever the case is, we have that mask, man, that we put on, and we all of a sudden become a different person. This book is going to help you recognize it, and it's going to guide you through allowing yourself to really, to be the one in control, right? To take back that power. While you're at it, another book she's written, Weight Loss Equals Weight Loss. Check out her affirmations on Audible called Who Are You? Check her out on her socials and everything else. Her website, aprilmoales.com, is a one-stop shop for it all. Head on over there, pick it up, get lost in every single one of these things. I'm telling you, you can thank her later, because this is going to be some revolutionary stuff for you. April, this has been a true pleasure, an absolute honor. Thank you for the wealth of wisdom that you've been able to share. Thank you for creating these books and just gifting it to us. But also thank you for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you for having me.